Buckeyes, welcome back in to the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel. Anthony Moeglin hanging out with you tonight with my partner, Kevin Woidke. We're coming to you live here on a Wednesday night as stuff's starting to happen everywhere. October's like the best month of sports that you can get. We got playoff baseball going tonight. We got basketball starting next week. We got college football definitely into the swing of things. And Kev, you were on the road this weekend, traveling a little bit. Got to be in the great city of Chicago. How you doing, brother? How was the weekend?
Weekend was good. Just nice, relaxing. Got to witness the marathon. Didn't have to run in it.
You didn't fool any of our fans as a runner. Just saying.
Yeah, no. I figured. No, it was fun. It was a good weekend. Saw a lot of good people. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's always awesome to get west a little bit. I know Chicago is a fun spot for at least all of us Clevelanders here, as many people are out that way. But Kev, in college football this weekend, we're going to just dive right into it because a ton to get to here tonight. But in college football this weekend, man, or this past weekend, I should say, it was pretty chaotic as it's been the past couple weeks. And like I want to look at this from like a big picture perspective before we kind of look at some of the games, but. We talked about this last year as we kind of got a front row seat to, kind of what they expanded playoff means for a lot of these types of games. Now we're getting into week 8. We were looking at week 7 last week, but like there were so many games that had meaning, in the teens type of rankings, right? Where you got, Alabama and Missouri playing for like literally a chance to stay alive as both teams were, had a loss. Georgia was in a dogfight with Auburn. Tennessee has been like, running by the hair of their chin. And then obviously the big one, which we'll get to in a little bit, but Indiana and Oregon had like an absolute barn burner, dude. And it's just kind of cool to see that, hey, with this extended playoff, all of these teams are still could still qualify to get into the playoff. And these games are so important during this middle portion of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. With this expanded playoff, there's teams honestly, there's some teams that aren't fully out of it yet. USC could sneak its way up there. They had a big win over the team up north. Georgia hasn't looked like Georgia. Texas A&M handled Kansas. Teams it's interesting because you look at a team. Arizona State, who's 21, and they're fighting to make the playoffs, and then Utah spanks them 42-10. That's just it's just crazy. South Carolina, there's quite a few teams in the top 25 on buys, but South Florida wins again. They're probably gonna. I don't think they'll smack in, but Missouri won't drop that far. I'm most impressed with. I loved that Texas beat Oklahoma.
Oh my God.
And it made my day. It made my Saturday. Buckeyes already won, and it was like, all right, how can this get any better?
Boom.
That, and then, Penn State just ruined. I'm not going to get into that. Hopefully that means there won't be a big noon kickoff, and the game will be a night game.
That's an interesting point. So, let's talk about that because that was obviously a big topic of conversation, especially in the Big Ten. Penn State goes to Northwestern and gets beat 22-21, a shocker, right? And they were saying there was stuff from 15 days ago where, Penn State was ranked in the top 5 and they were playing Oregon for a chance to become the premier program in college football this year and really stamp themselves as a legit contender. And then fast forward 3 weeks, they fire their coach. They fire James Franklin because they lose to Oregon, they lose to UCLA, and then they go and lose to Northwestern. If you're Penn State, Kev, are you firing James Franklin? Do you make that decision?
Oh, yeah. That was embarrassing. That game, that's the only way to describe it, was they just laid down and got beat by I won't even begin to express how I feel about the Wildcats. They're exactly who you expect, but they're a nothing burger team this year. They're 4-2. Who've they played this? They haven't really played it, but they lost to Tulane 23-3 to start the year. And then they got blown out by Oregon. and the Oregon team that you lost to by a touchdown on a fluke pass. Like, the best thing that happened to Penn State football, they'll look back in 5-10 years if this program starts winning a lot more. They'll look like, God, that Drew Aller interception against Oregon probably isn't that bad. Like, that's what it is. I mean, Michigan football looks back on, wow, Ohio State beating the hell out of us, drove us so bad that we had to cheat, and we got a national championship out of it and only paid $20 million. Like, they look back on that and they're like, wow, I'm glad that Harbaugh was beaten that deep into a corner that he felt the need to videotape signals, and it only cost us $20 million. We got a national championship. Like, they're 30, whatever their penalty is. But, like, they might look back on this and be like, even how heartbreaking these last 2 weeks have been, 3 weeks for that matter. Oregon right into did they lose 3 in a row?
3 in a row.
Like, Oregon, UCLA was a debacle, but it was still close. And then I mean, they lost by a point to Northwestern. Like, that alone is enough for me. Yes, you absolutely should have done it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, there's a lot of people talking, obviously everyone has an opinion on it. And some are like, hey, they should keep him. And you're like, okay, you keep him through the year. And then, like, what does that get you? Like, it's, he's proven. It's not like, they were in the national semifinal last year. So, like, this is a little tongue in cheek, but, his big thing is that he just simply can't win the big game. And, like, you even look back to their playoff run last year. They lose to Oregon, and then they get SMU as their first round game. They got the easiest first round game. They win that by 1 million. And then they get Boise State. They had arguably the easiest second round game. And they're like, okay, you win that game. Then you get Notre Dame, and then Aller throws that late interception. And you're like, holy cow, like, talk about that being a sliding doors moment. And then the next sliding doors moment being that play against Oregon a couple weeks ago. But you're like, man, he's proven time and time again. You and I, we've talked about it on this show. Like, his inability to win that big game. And you're like, all right, they were so tied to him from a financial standpoint that, like, hey, a slip up here or slip up there wasn't quite enough. But, like, this, in my opinion, was the perfect time. Like, it was like 1, 2, 3, boom, 2. Like, you shouldn't have gone out to UCLA. Like, if you go out to UCLA and start slow and then win the game, you're like, okay, little Oregon hangover, whatever. You got past it, you won. This one again, at home, Northwestern, and you lose? Like, what? Like, what? That is, like you said, is as bad as it gets.
It is. And that's the only way to put it. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it. Drew Aller's career is summed up with late game interception that cost him the game. And that just, it happened against Oregon in Big Ten. It happened against Notre Dame. It happened against Oregon again. And, I mean, that's just how this goes. I mean, they ran a terrible mesh play to end the UCLA game. I didn't even watch how the Northwestern game ended. But it was like, that's just the only way. And that's like, I mean, you look at it, and then you look at who could be replacing it, and it jumps to, I mean, a decent segue into, are we buying the Indiana hype? Cignetti's at the top of that list.
Yeah.
And Cignetti's done a great job with this Indiana team that people thought were just going to be merchants last year, that was their only year. He's a good coach. Like, it seems like he's a good coach. He came from the Saban coaching tree. He knows what he's doing. I don't know if he's really ready to pack it in and go to Penn State because, yes, you might have more NIL. I don't even know if that's the case, but, like, looking as a haven for the best players in the group of 5 to come showcase in a Power 4, he's done it for 2 years. That's what he's going to keep doing. And that's the smart way to do it, because at Penn State, it's a lot harder to convince someone to go to Penn State and be like, hey, like, we're going to be losing to Ohio State because we play them every year. Whereas in Indiana, it's like, hey, come to Indiana. We don't have to play Ohio State till the Big Ten championship game. And if we lose, we'll probably still make the playoff. Like, that's the reality of the situation, because if you're not Penn State or team up north, you're not playing us every single year.
No, it's dead right. And this Indiana team, we were loud on this show. You and I were loud about, hey, like, last year, they beat the teams they were supposed to beat. Then they would play anytime they play, and they only did it twice, but they played 2 teams that, were a class up, and it looked like they were a class up. Ohio State got after them a little bit, and then Notre Dame got after them in the playoff. And you're like, okay, they're still a ways out. But the beauty of where you're at now in college football is that you can flip a roster. You can flip a roster entirely in one offseason, or if you're just a couple pieces away, it's free agency, man. You don't have to get lucky on a freshman quarterback developing or whatever it may be. You can go get one. And they got one of the best ones in the country, Fernando Mendoza. He's like the dude. He's an awesome football player. Awesome character too. Like you go back and you like watch some of his post game interviews. I don't know, Kev, you ever see his one from California? You ever see his post game from California? No. It was a viral. Okay, it was last year. I highly recommend if anybody's made it this far in our show, just search on Twitter Fernando Mendoza Cal and click videos, and it'll be the first one that comes up. They went on like a 99-yard drive against Stanford last year, and he like literally was in tears in the post-game interview. It was like really, really cool. But he's got everything you want in a quarterback. And then you like look at this team, like outside of that, this is just a tough ass football team, and they take after the personality of their coach. And like it's hard to go to Oregon, it's hard to go to Eugene and win. We experienced that last year as Ohio State. They went in, they didn't just win, they thumped Oregon. They beat them soundly. They beat them 30-20. And I got to tell you, man, the question I have posed on our ticker here: are we buying the hype? I'm buying the hype, man. This group, this is a tough, hard-nosed team that Ohio State, thankfully, it doesn't have to see till the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I think that I am buying the hype. I also think that it was a look-ahead game, not even a look-ahead game, an overlook game for Oregon.
Sure.
I don't think because like they play Indiana, then it's like Rutgers, Wisconsin. The rest of their schedule is a joke too. I think that they were feeling what everyone else was, that, oh, this is just an Indiana team like every other Indiana team. We'll be able to roll the ball out there and win. And Indiana got out, it was a good game. Like, I mean, Indiana got out to a 10-7 start, and then it was just close. Like, their defense is really what won them that game. Like, Oregon had 6 combined points through the second and third quarter. Like, that's just how it was. And their defense played well. I mean, it's just, they just weren't. They got them on fourth and close. They made 3 or 4 fourth downs. Like, that's what's crazy. They only had 80 rushing yards, Oregon, and only 186 passing yards. Like, that just shows the defense locked them down. Like, I don't think that they really played that well on offense. I mean, they had 111 rushing yards and 215 in the air. Like, that's not a stellar game, but I think that's just what it was. They got after it. They had 6 sacks. Oregon's offensive line just let it up. Like, that's just how it was. They had more time in possession. They ran the ball. They killed the clock, and they did what you need to do when you're underdog playing a top-ranked team.
That was one of those things, man, that stood out to me. Like, you play that game 10 times and, Oregon or Indiana wins 7 of them, 6 of them. Like, they were the better team that day. And you roll that ball out again, and it's likely they're going to be the better team again. But going back to the first thing we talked about, dude, like the beauty of where we're at in college football is that Oregon's not out of it, right? Like, that's the cool part is like in years past, boom, death wish. We'll see you later. Good luck next year. Have fun in the Tostitos or the Pop-Tart Bowl, and then we'll catch you next year. But this time around, like in this college football, and I think it's such a positive that that they're still sticking around and able to compete. So, Kev, we made it 15 minutes in the show. We haven't talked Buckeyes yet, but let's start with this. All right, let's start with this. What were your main takeaways? You're kind of getting to watch it from afar. What were your takeaways from Ohio State's sound 34-16 victory over Illinois on Saturday?
I mean, the defense performed as it normally does. That red zone touchdown, they had to run kind of like a little bit of a trick play just to get it in.
Yeah,
it's a great, well-designed play. But it honestly, for me as a fan and probably as a defense, it lets you loosen up a little bit. Like, hey, like now we don't have to be perfect in the red zone like we were. Like, yeah, it's great, and you let up one, still super impressive. Like, it'd still be a record. But like that's where I think it would be. I don't even know. But like that's where I was the most impressed. I mean, Jeremiah didn't look that great for me, but I mean, Carnell Tate still looks impressive. Our running backs are looking good. It's just it seems like this offense is, and I'm starting to get a little hesitant that we keep saying, like, oh, it's biting its time. Like, it just isn't, it's not as explosive as it was last year with Will Howard.
Yeah. So that's the thing, man. Like that's really what I wanted to kind of talk about, because I was seeing some stuff today. I was just doing some reading, at lunchtime or whatever. And like, Ohio State is ranked, I think it was 132nd in the country in plays per game. They are averaging 60 plays per game. There's only 3 teams that are averaging 3 or 4 teams that run less offensive plays than them. That part doesn't bother me. Like, if you're going to slow the tempo down, I'm okay with that. Like, in the huddle, out of the huddle, slow, whatever. Are they able to just kind of keep this offense in a box? Because, Brendan and I talked about it on Saturday after the game. It did feel like, hey, we went into Minnesota. You come back from Washington. You're like, okay, they got the big road win. And now, hey, let's see this offense start to take shape. They do that against Minnesota. And then you're like, all right, how are they going to build on that? And then their first chance to build on it, they went back to slow it down, put Julian Sayin back, put the training wheels back on the bike. Like, hey, we're going to keep this conservative. The way their schedule lays out, dude, they could continue to do this and really don't have to test it for the rest of the regular season. Do you expect them to I guess this is the question. Is this just who they are? Is this their personality that they're just going to, really try to yuck it up, win the line of scrimmage, not ask the quarterback to do too much, and then win the game on defense?
Maybe. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know if it's really putting the training wheels on Sayin or if it's just Hartline being new at calling plays. Like, I think Chip Kelly was just confident in understanding how schemes worked and how to lull a team one way and then hit them over the top with the other. I also think Will Howard was willing to stand in the pocket to deliver that deep ball, whereas Julian is more so, hey, let's take the easy route. Like, he's running it like an NFL offense.
Honestly,
it's impressive, it's great, but the flip side is like, when we need it, will it be able to? Because we really haven't needed it. I mean, Texas, we chalked it up as, oh, it's young quarterbacks, but like, is it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm hoping that changes. Like, if we play another game the Saturday after Thanksgiving where it's a slugfest, I don't want that to be the case. Like, with this team up in Ann Arbor cannot throw the football, it seems like. So they're going to run it. They're going to drain the clock. We got to score points on the possessions we have. And if you are just slowly running the ball and eating clock, it's like, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a 6-3 end with 2 field goals out of our kicker, who hasn't been a problem this year, but like definitely doesn't have all the confidence in the world for me.
Yeah, it's a great point, because against inferior competition, this is fine. It's totally fine to do it. You'll pull away. I think Washington, the game against Washington was like the best description of that, where they just slowed it down. It was a weird first half. You're up 7-3, and then bang, you hit Jeremiah and he makes a big play. Okay, then you get it going. Then all right, fine, you pull away, whatever. But what does concern me is exactly what you said. You play a better team. You play Texas, and now you win 14-7 on a game where you had to hold them out of the end zone on 4th and goal from the inch line. They did a QB sneak and they didn't get in. Okay, does that change things? But the flip side of that is, like, looking at the rest of the schedule, you got Wisconsin, who we'll get to in a little bit, but you should dominate them. You got Penn State, who just fired their coach. Their quarterback's got a broken leg, and you should roll them. You got Purdue. You got UCLA, who's, like, fun right now, but, like, not a concern. Nico Imaliava, I was going to test you with that one, but Nico's coming back to Columbus, and it's going to be cold there. Then you got Rutgers, and then you got Team Up North. And it's like, you're not going to get tested until that day after Thanksgiving. You're just truthfully not. And that part, dude, concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It's just, I hope that's how they're doing this. I hope that they're slow playing it. And they're like, the less amount of time these teams have to prep for us, the better. So let's play it that way. But who knows? Only they know. Only the people in the building know really what's going on. So that's kind of how when I was in the building, the media speculated and didn't know what was going on. So now I'm on the other side of that. So I'm trying to play it safe and be like, hey, I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but let's hope that is the case, that they are just slow playing it until they need to, excel and put the foot on the metal, or put the pedal to the medal.
There you go. No, it's it'll be interesting to see how it continues to progress, and maybe they come out this weekend and really light it up, or they're holding it for Penn State. They really want to shove it down. Not Jim Schwartz. Oh my gosh. Jim Knowles' throat in Penn State. Maybe that's the case, but we will. The time will tell. Time will certainly tell. But Kev, this weekend in Madison, a game that I was excited for. That's one of those where it's not on the schedule every year, and you're hoping that Wisconsin was going to be able to turn it around. I personally was. I'm a big fan of Luke Fickell, outside of the fact that he's a former Buckeye, outside of the fact that he took over the team after basically the mini death penalty that Ohio State got, and kind of fell on the sword there for the Buckeyes. And then as he's gone through his career, he takes Cincinnati to the college football playoff. He beats Notre Dame with Cincinnati. All those things, and you're like, all right. Could he be the next coach, and could he be the guy to bring Wisconsin back to national relevance? And it's just not going right. Wisconsin is just very bad. Like, this is a very bad football team. They've gotten worse throughout the year, which is not good. And it feels like Fickell's on borrowed time, and they're just waiting out the season to go find another coach.
I think two things kind of derailed Fickell's time in Wisconsin. One being that Desmond Ridder was an atrocious quarterback in the NFL, and that is the only piece of evidence he has of delivering a quarterback to the NFL. That's number one. Number two, I think the expansion killed Wisconsin. Wisconsin was a perennial Big Ten West powerhouse. They went to the Big Ten championship game all the time when they were in the Big Ten West. Now they have to compete with Oregon. They have to compete with everybody. Now it's not even the East and West. Now it's just everybody, because those games, when they were making it back in 2010 to 2020, they were making it because us, Penn State, and Team Up North all would play each other, and two of them would have one loss, and the other one would have no losses, and that's the one who went. Like, that's just how it went on, and that was the difference. That was like Team Up North would win. Team Up North would, or it would be like a trickle-down effect where we lose to Michigan State, Penn State loses to us, and it just keeps going down. And it's like, okay, well, that tiebreaker on the way up is Michigan State. And like that, Wisconsin wouldn't have made it back then either. So that's where my take is. This team itself, I mean, they're 127th in offense, and the NCAA stats are down for defense, but they're over 100 in defense. I think they're 66th against the pass. I don't even want to know what they are against the run, because they're over 100 in terms of team total defense. This just isn't a Wisconsin team this year that you're used to seeing, and it's arguably one of the worst teams of the Power Four. You would be hard pressed to find an argument against that, because they are like really, really bad. Last week was a perfect example of it. Under the radar, they get beat by Iowa 37-0, 37-0. Iowa can't move the football. Like, Iowa can't score. And they boat race Wisconsin. It's funny, like, just listening and trying to learn about this Wisconsin team. The biggest thing that everyone in Wisconsin, in Badger world, has said is that when Fickell came in, and this is one of those things where it's like, hey, this is going to be your philosophy. He tried to turn Wisconsin into like a shotgun style team, a West Coast 5 wide, that type of style group, and basically kind of abandoned what, like, the personality of what we know Wisconsin to be, of big linemen, running backs, fullbacks, run it down your throat type of a deal. If that transition would have worked out, maybe we're having a different story, but it didn't. And now he's on the outside looking in. Kevin, I think your point about, hey, his only quarterback to go to the NFL was Desmond Ridder, and it turned out to be a disaster. I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point, because kids these days coming out of high school or transferring around are like, hey, I'm going to go somewhere where I can go to the league, right? I'm going to go to Ohio State because every Ohio State wide receiver dominates in the NFL, or, I'm going to go here because this group or this university produces great defensive linemen or offensive linemen or whatever. For Fickell, he can't get that quarterback, and if you can't get that signal caller, it's going to be challenging. Wisconsin on the year,
Hasn't scored 100 points yet. They're at 93 points. Their 2 wins came over Miami, Ohio in week 1, where they beat them 17-0, which wasn't very good. And then they beat Middle Tennessee State, which also not the best possible win you could have. And then they've ripped off 4 straight losses to Alabama, Maryland, didn't thump them, 27-10 final. They were up big in that game. And then Michigan, the Michigan game against them was weird because Iowa was kind of controlling the line of scrimmage. And then last week against Wisconsin was controlling the line of scrimmage. And then last week against Iowa, 37-0 drubbing. Just bad football. And it's a big week for Ohio State because as we flip it to talking about our game on Saturday, Ohio State, as it sits right now, 25.5 point favorites. The over-under is 41.5. There isn't even a money line option. So there you go. It is big on paper, leaning towards the Buckeyes. Kev, what are you going to have your eye on as Ohio State takes the field against Wisconsin?
I mean, it'll be the offense this week. I usually want to see how good the defense is, want to see how good the offensive line is. I want to see if we can keep showing glimpses of an offense that has a little bit of fire to them. I don't want any more, field goals inside the 20, especially against a team like this. It just it gets frustrating, and it's maybe that means Julian using his legs a little more. I don't really know, but that is one thing I'm getting sick of watching, and it'll be interesting to see how we choose to combat that. And I'm not saying if it happens every once in a while against a good team, I get it. But we're playing inferior opponents and it's becoming a habit. I'm not happy about that. So that's kind of my thing. I don't really see much else other than maybe watching some of the depth at defensive line start to feast a little bit more.
That's a good point, especially as we get later in this season. You start flipping this calendar because, hey, by the way, the Ohio State's off next week, so they got no game next week. So their next game is not till November. Okay, so this is Ohio State's last game in the month of October, which is freaking wild to say. That is nuts to say. So for me, I agree with you. A lot of my attention is going to be on the offensive side of the ball. I think Julian's playing well. I just want to see him, like you said. I think everybody wants to see, are they going to let him do it? Are they going to let Jeremiah Smith be Jeremiah Smith? And are they going to let, Julian drop back and pass the football because they haven't to this point? And we'll see if they can kind of get out of that conservative mindset or, at some point, you and I will just have to acknowledge that this is who they are, and we got to get used to it. We got to prepare for a playoff run for it looking the way that it does here. So an exciting one on Saturday. It's supposed to be a fun environment. It's not going to be. Get in price, I think I heard today was $30. So it's not going to be a sellout, which is a bummer. It's always cool. Did you ever play in Wisconsin? Did you ever play in Madison?
No, it was the one game we won in overtime, but I broke my wrist and had surgery on it, so I didn't get to travel with the team out there. It was the Sam Hubbard made the play in overtime in 2016 that won us the game. But yeah, no, it was tough. My family and my parents were pissed because they wanted to go. Too bad.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. That's on me. But hey, you guys, they could have still went and had their spotted cow and cheese curds and all that.
Oh, they probably could have. But
are you a fan of spotted cow? As we're
oh yeah.
Do you believe the hype?
Oh yeah, spotted cow's fantastic. Spotted cows are fantastic. Some of my colleagues over in Chicago were Wisconsin people, and they wanted to do a case race. I'm like, hey, I'm in, but as long as it's spotted cow, he goes, I don't. You look me dead in the eyes and go, I don't have that in me.
Oh,
it's a great beer.
You need better colleagues. Yeah, we always played when I played. Our first game of the year was against one of the teams from the WEAC. All right, so we're gonna nerd out on D3 for just a minute. The WEAC is kind of like the SEC of Division III football. The OAC is kind of like the Big Ten, and so we would always try to play. That was like our out of conference game, and they had some great teams. Wisconsin Whitewater is the one team that everybody would certainly know. They win national championships every year, but we'd always go up to Spotted Cow. We'd always go up to Wisconsin for a game, and we'd bring a lot of contraband back to Cleveland for the rest of the year. A lot of spotted cow was on our buses. So very fun times, but it'll be a fun weekend. If you're traveling out there, obviously safe travels. I'm guessing the weather this weekend is supposed to be garbage all throughout the Midwest. So keep that in mind. But for Ohio State, a great opportunity to stay in the win column, right? At the end of the day, just score more points than the other team and keep this thing moving. You got one more game before the bye week, and then you get one last break before that. Third quarter is what we're calling it, before the playoff here. So we're excited about it. As a reminder, if you made it this far in the show, get over to Buckeyes Roundtable. Page is full of stuff. Kevin's always in there mixing it up, dropping videos here and there. I'm in there with stories and videos and all sorts of different stuff. We love doing it, and our community is growing. Starting to see some really good growth over there. So make sure you're getting over there to Buckeyes Roundtable and joining us on that site. Also subscribing to our YouTube channel here. All of it helps us, and we love doing this kind of stuff. So all your support does mean a lot to us. So we'll be back with a Friday show, and then we'll be back on Saturday. No boots on the ground this weekend. We'll be all covering from home. So it will be a Saturday of a pregame show and then an immediate postgame show, and then some all sorts of commentary all throughout. So excited to bring it to you. We're getting out of here on that. The Buckeyes are getting ready to take on the Wisconsin Badgers, and we got you covered here on the Buckeyes Roundtable YouTube channel on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast.